Monthly meeting of the Board of Adjustment. The board was created by the city charter to hear applications for variances from zoning ordinance requirements and to hear and render decisions on interpretations of the requirements of the zoning ordinance. The board consists of 5 voting members. It requires 4 affirmative votes for approval of any variance or interpretation. The cases on the agenda will be heard in the order listed. The order of proceeding for each case shall be as follows. City staff will make a brief presentation outlining the application. The applicant shall present their case. Persons in favor of the variance shall present their evidence. Persons opposed to the variance shall present their evidence. The applicant shall be given a rebuttal period. The public hearing will be closed and no further testimony will be accepted. The normal procedure is that the board will discuss and take action on the application. All meetings of the Board of Adjustment are open to the public. Anyone in the audience who thinks for any reason they will speak before the board tonight, please stand and take the oath. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth in all matters pertaining to the cases before the Board of Adjustment? Please say, I do. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. All right, let's take the roll call. Aaron Crosley.
Here.
Jack Lehman.
Here.
Sarah Wimberly.
Here.
I said it right tonight, didn't I? Okay, I'm getting better. Robert Jones.
Here.
And I'm Tim Watkins, and I'm here also. Okay. All right. What do we have on case number 20-999-11? Rebecca Cornish.
Yes, Ms. Cornish seeks to construct an addition onto the west side of her existing garage at 218 North Delaware. The proposed garage addition will be only 3 feet from the south property line, thus requiring a variance of 2 feet. When this garage was originally built 20 years ago, the side yard setback for lots that were only 50 feet or less was 3 feet. This property is only 39.5 feet wide, so it met that definition, and the builder took out that permit, and from what I can tell, it does meet the 3 feet, although that, as you'll see from the brush line, it's fairly thick from there. Okay, we'll just go through these slides. This is the approximate location of the property. It's south of Truman Road, north of Maple, on the west side of South Delaware. Excuse me, North Delaware. Okay, this is a zoning for the site, for the area. As you can see, the applicant's property is in that red box, just across from the Truman home, which is the R30 PUD right across the street. The little brown rectangle in the back corner, southwest corner of the lot, she just recently went through this, the Planning Commission and City Council to rezone that little that little rectangle back there to residential, because it was actually part of the apartment property, which is just behind this site. This is the aerial photograph of the property. Again, the property's in the red box or red rectangle. The garage is shown on the southwest corner of the lot. It's in that little box that is a separate lot right now. She's also in the process of replatting the 2 lots, the main house is and where the part of the garage is, into a single lot. We've got the Truman home across the street to the west, to the east. There's an apartment building to the west. There's 2 single-family homes to the north. The Parks Department owns the house to the south, which is they use for their tours of the Truman Home when it's open, and then further to the south is a hotel. This is, we're looking west at the front of the applicant's house. On the property that the garage will abut into have an issue with is the property on the left, which is right here, basically. Okay, this is the area that she recently had rezoned, and the garage to the left. She seeks to add onto the garage to basically add another bay onto that side there. She is far enough from the rear property line, which is on the west side of the lot. So it's only the south that's the issue. Here we're looking east along the south property line, and it's the existing garage, and under this brush is the fence line. I got out there and measured from the base of the foundation of the garage over to the fence line. It's kind of an old wire fence of some sort. And it's about 3 feet, so we'll call it that. It was 3 feet. It was built according to regulations at the time. Here's another photo that shows the back of the house, the back of the garage. That's the driveway off to the left there where the car is parked. So the garage addition will be right here in front of this part of the garage. This is taken from the alley that goes between the Park Service property and the hotel, which is just south of here, and it shows the fence line and the garage you can see in the distance there. And this is taken from the apartment property. There is a fence line along the parking lot of the apartment property. Again, you can see the top of the garage. The south property line is on your right, just in this area here. This is the two houses that are immediately north of the applicant's property. This ribbon driveway serves the applicant property, which is on the left, and then the white house that's on the right. The ribbon driveway goes back to the back property line to a paved parking area for both houses. This is the Truman House across the street from the applicant's property. There's a couple of residential houses south of the Truman home. This is the apartment building, which is 2 properties south of the applicant's property. And this is the Parks Department, or the Nolan House as it's called. The Parks Department owns this property, and they use it for the park rangers. And basically it's a starting point for the tours of the Truman home. And I can answer any questions if you may have any.
Any questions?
I have none.
Questions for staff? No? Okay.
Ms. Cornish?
We have the applicant, please.
Hi, do I need to give my name and address? Okay. My name is Rebecca Cornish, and I live at 218 North Delaware Street, Independence, Missouri, 64050. I purchased this house in 2000, and as you saw before, there was a piece of the property that I did not own. It was owned by the apartment complex behind me. And the people who renovated the apartment complex after it burnt down about 10 years ago, they told me that they would sell me the property for a small fee plus closing if they could use my garage, my one-car garage, as their offices. So I agreed to that, and so it's now been 10 to 15 years, and I decided that with my husband and I, we would like a 2-car garage. And so last month, we broke the record of having the smallest piece of property rezoned. It was 10 feet by 18 feet. And so we were quite excited to have that happen. As a result, that's the reason why I did not originally build a 2-car garage. the deal before was that they fixed up the White House, which was condemned on the north side, and to take down one of my trees, they would build me a garage, and I could only build a one-car garage at the time because I did not own that 10 by 18 feet of property. So I'm coming to you today to ask for that variance. The house and the garage both line up at that 3 feet margin, so it would just be consistent with everything that's on that side of the house. And there'd be, the only difference would be is that I would just extend the garage. And so I'm just hoping that I could have that variance so that I would be able to build this two-car garage.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Is it gonna be a new garage? That'll be a two-car garage, or are you just gonna add on to the existing?
Our plans, I have the person coming to draw out the plans, but basically we'll tear down the wall and extend it so it becomes a true two-car garage, so it's not one building with an addition, that
Okay.
it will be open in the middle.
So you just add on to the ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, to the back of the property. The house that I share the driveway with, they have a two-car garage. Theirs is set back a little bit further than mine. I have a back deck, and so my garage would be towards the back of the house as well. And it's not visible from the street, so as far as the Truman home and the visitors and having all of those pieces, it would not be visible from the street, so visitors would not see any difference from what they would see now.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of the variance request? No, not unless somebody's hiding down behind. Okay, anyone wishing to speak in opposition, or were there any calls in opposition to this?
No, there were actually no calls on this application or her rezoning application. I think she went out to most of the neighbors and explained what was going on.
Okay,
And I would ask if there's anybody on the internet that has any comments about this case one way or the other. So, apparently we don't.
nothing there, huh? Okay. Well, I guess we can close the public hearing and have a discussion. It appears that all the criteria on this case has been met. And I don't see any reason as, you know,
The home across the street is that the one the Secret Service had?
that's the one on the corner of Truman and Delaware, right across the street.
So
was
the
one.
Truman, sorry,
Was that one that
The-
the park department had?
the Secret Service is on the corner of Truman and Delaware, and that's an Airbnb. The White House next to mine is a privately owned house, and then there's my house, and then next to that happens to be the Noland house, which is the house that they refurnished, that it was Harry Truman's aunt, and he had the pie plate, and he took it over the street to give it back to Bess. So those are the houses.
Curious.
A lot of history right there.
Yeah, I would like to add that her next step is to go through the Heritage Commission to get approval from that board to add on to her garage.
That'll be more fun than this.
I would recommend that, make a motion that we would approve this as presented.
I have a second.
Well, we've got a motion and a second. Guess we can take it to a vote. Unless anybody else has anything they need to add, or questions, or comments that need to be made. No? Okay. Well, let's see. Aaron Crosley,
Yes.
Jack Lehman,
Yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well, and I'm Tim Watkins. Variance has been approved. Good luck to you. Hopefully, the Heritage Commission is as nice as we are about it. Okay. Next case. What do we have on case 20-999-12, Ted Cox.
Okay. Ted Cox intends to split a 52.05 acre tract into a 2-lot subdivision, Cox Acres, with an eastern 26.05 acre tract, which is lot 2, will be lot 2, fronting Powell Road, and a 26 acre lot, lot 1, located in the western part of that tract. The lot created at the rear of the property would not have frontage along the right-of-way, thus approval of the proposed minor subdivision would require a variance for not having street frontage. There is an existing driveway crossing the northeast corner of the property adjacent to the south of the existing tract. An easement was obtained to access both of these new lots across that tract. The subdivision would have a cross-access easement for those accessing lot 1 to cross, or accessing lot 1 to cross to lot 2. So they would, there's an access easement to cross to lot 2 to the west, which would be the western of that split lot. The applicant states that given the existing, given the existence of the driveway that could serve both lots, building an additional driveway through the wooded frontage with its sloping topography further to the north would be difficult. In short, the applicant is requesting a single variance to create a lot without street frontage. So, real quickly, I'll go through this. So we're talking about Powell Road. You're looking at the vicinity map here, where you see these busy streets here. That's the internal pattern of a mobile home park. And this thicker line down here is Truman Road. So it's an area zoned RA, residential agriculture, with residential single family across the street. So here's where you can see some of the topography, at least from an aerial point of view. So you have this clearing in the interior of the track. Of course, this existing access drive is coming off the road down here to the south and crosses the property line at that southeast corner of the track and goes to this clearing. And then, of course, would split to go to each of the individual residences that would be on the different lots. This property being, of course, split north to south, and that western side not having any frontage along a road. So here's it drawn out. So you could see how the drives would, the existing drive comes, and this branch off to the left would access that track that's would be requiring a variance for no frontage. So this is looking from Powell onto that existing driveway on the neighbor's property, looking toward the tract, which is right up there where those poles are. And this is same area, just going over to the road and looking to the north. And this is from the other direction, looking south back toward that driveway. So the applicant's property here is on our right, this wooded area. And this shows, this is about more than halfway toward the northern property line of that track, and you can see how rugged and how the land rises rapidly in wooded woodedly there. Okay, so his property is on the left here and goes up to about that pole, or maybe shy of that. And then this is a neighboring property across the street, another view of it. Parked right there. That is a presentation, and I can take any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff on this?
Does it have a plat or show what, by mathematical or survey that shows how they want to break it up? It's just hard to tell from the aerial.
Did you not see the plat?
Well, I see
The
the
minor
plat, but
subdivision.
You can't even,
Yeah.
What it doesn't show is the proposed.
he doesn't show anything.
Well,
about-
that's the proposed plat that we provided, this, right here.
Is this plat been filed?
Not yet. He can't do it yet because he has to get the variance. This is, I mean, there'll be adjustments, working with the surveyor, of course, as we do the minor subdivision process, but this is what he'll turn in.
So this, what we have on this side of Powell is the current 52-acre platted property, correct?
The aerial?
Yes.
Yes. And this is it as well. If you look at the aerial, can you see, I guess you can't see it on the screen. It's all washed out. Sorry about that. But you have the white drawing, right?
I believe so.
Okay. That shows the existing property split into two. And that is the plat that's going to be applied for. You don't have the plat?
Have we heard from neighbors?
Just one, and he's provided a letter today to me, an email, and is in complete support.
I had a question of what, this area that shows where it's all cut out, does the farm follow that part that's cut out and the rest of it goes east to Powell? I can't understand where
Do you not have the plat?
I've got the plat, but I can't tell from this aerial where the property lines would be, the new ones, on the west side.
Okay, let me point it out on here.
I don't see,
Okay, this is Powell Road.
right,
This is the west property line.
okay,
This is the south. His property actually goes farther north than this, than shown.
okay.
Okay? This is the neighbor's property that he has to get the easement across for that existing driveway. It's already there, but there needed to be
Okay.
proof of an easement. Okay? This existing driveway, all this is already existing, but this driveway here would go to the west lot that would be created by a property line that would run north-south right here. Okay?
So in other words, this plat here is the west property line, but where is it shown on that, where we have all that open area there? Is it this line here?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Here.
If you're looking at that, and we're looking at it this way, right? That's north.
This is
What-
existing property.
Okay,
This is the west property line.
okay.
And all of this is existing,
And then there's gonna be a new line,
and it goes up through there.
so it's gonna just
Yeah.
have a
and so
deflection in it
This is gonna be, so you'll have a line, you'll have a property platted
right here.
right there, yeah.
And then this is where it comes in from the,
Yeah, that's the
Street.
existing driveway cutting through that topography.
it's got a recorded easement, a document that's been recorded at the recorder's office.
This was recorded at the courthouse. And this is,
But you can't really, on this thing, you can't read it. I mean, it's so small, you need a magnifying glass, so you can't, I'm not trying to be negative here, you just can't, you can't read any of the characters because the scale is so, been reduced to a small size.
I'll get you a 11 by 17.
Well, I'm just saying it's just hard, I'm not trying to be picky here, I just didn't quite, okay. So in other words, they're gonna be,
You want to tell yourself.
I know. Okay, I guess that's all I've got right now.
Okay. Do we have the applicant present? Come up and give your name and address.
My name is Ted Cox. My wife and I we own 110 South Powell Road. So my wife and I purchased the property October of 2020, all 52 acres, with the intent of first building an ag building for animals and then building a home for my wife and 5 children. So once we got the barn built, it was finished earlier this year in 2021, we decided that we wanted to split the lot in half and sell to a friend. One of my friends just is getting ready to purchase the south number 3 lot that just got approved on a variance. I think it was last month, Brian Schultz. So he's getting ready to build a home there, and so what we wanted to do is develop the area and make it a little bit nicer up on top of that ridge, that hill. Due to the terrain, there's a lot of bluffs, a lot of rock and stuff, so it's impossible to put an additional driveway in there for that. So that's mainly why I'm requesting the variance, is because that's how we felt that it was the best way to split it, but also trying to get a driveway through that terrain make it very difficult. So that's why we would like to use that access easement that was given to me when I purchased the property. And it would take it, my side is the right side, just to help you guys clarification. My side is the right side. That's where the barn is right now currently. That's lot number 2. Lot number 1 is the west side. And that's how we would pass through. So you pass through my lot 2 to get to lot 1 on the west.
So lot 2 is the west
It went from left to right. So the way the surveyor did it is lot 1 is on the left, and lot 1 is on the left, and lot 2 is on the right, which is my side, the east side.
So okay.
I'd be happy to show you.
So
It's-
lot 2 is the easterly lot, I call it, and the other
Correct.
one,
Yes,
lot
sir.
1 is the westerly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've actually recorded this, you haven't recorded it yet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You haven't really recorded this
We
plat
have to,
yet.
I was told that I have to have the variance first before we can record it. It's ready to go with my surveyor to record it as soon as a decision is made.
No, we
I'm sorry.
have to review the minor subdivision.
He hasn't actually
He hasn't actually applied for a minor
I
subdivision
apologize.
yet.
Okay, so the application itself hasn't been done yet for the
Right,
plat?
yeah, we're preparing the groundwork for that by going here first.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, so you already have a structure there,
Yes, we have.
an accessory building.
Yeah, ag
essentially.
building, yes, sir.
Is that this black?
Dot.
Is
Yeah,
that
it's
what I'm looking at there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that just a accessory garage or something?
It's an ag
Or
building.
barn?
It's an ag, barn, yeah. And so we're gonna build the house directly in front of it. Well, I say directly, so south of it into
South of
the,
it.
yeah, to where it's closer to the road.
Now, you realize we have to go by the city's recommendation on these, and there's 6 items that, for the criteria, were you aware of that? And I'm not here to, but they, on 2 of their comments, the other 4 were okay. But I'm just saying, they said here, and you can't build the line east-west, it's too rough, right? Plus all the trees and everything.
Correct, sir.
But you got here, it says, The requested variances arise from conditions which are unique to the subject property that are not ordinarily found in the same zoning district and that are not a result of the owner's intentional action. And they say no. The applicant's property could be split into two tracts, east and west, not north and south, with each not having more than 240 feet of frontage. But you can't do a split that way because it won't work because of the topography, correct?
Yes, sir, you're correct.
And then on number 5, it says, and the other four.
Mr. Jones, would you get closer to the microphone?
Okay, the other,
Between the mask
the
and
other
the
one that they got,
distance, we can't really-
we deal with is alleged hard, this is number 5 on their items. Have you seen these?
Yes.
It says, has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property, then they say no. The applicant could split the property in a manner as required by code. Well, you already said you can't do it because of the topography, correct?
Yes, I cannot do it because of the topography.
I was just trying to explain to you where we come from
Sure.
on the 6 items that they call for criteria items. I don't have any other further questions right now. I don't have any further questions.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
I have none.
Let's see. I can see why you're wanting to utilize what you have as far as a drive or an access. But I don't know. Sometimes it's tough to sell a property when you don't have any frontage. A lot of people really like to have some frontage on acreage properties. Well, vast majority of people do, at least.
One other question. Also, is there any other properties out in this area that's doing what you're doing as far as not the frontage they need as far as in splitting them in?
So ours is rare because if you drove up to it, it really, I'm not joking, it feels like you're in the Rocky Mountains. If you walked up the hill, it's on a hilltop. It's very high. And so coming up the private drive, or the access
driveway.
easement, the driveway, excuse me, if you tried to create a driveway coming down there, it'd be very difficult. There's streams and rock bluffs that are as tall as me, taller than me. So it's very difficult. And that's all I can say. It's a big hill. And there, to answer your question, there is not, because I feel like everybody else's terrain is pretty level out. Mine's just happen to be the middle.
Has the city said you can do this with a variance, but we have to be the ones that approve this, correct? I mean, right? But it can be done with our approval. Do you all have, Stuart or Brian, have you had anything like this as far as this type of lot split before? Anything similar to this ever? I'm just, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, but I don't mean it's bad, I just haven't. It's a different type of,
Yes, sir.
that we normally run into,
Yes, sir.
so.
Well, we did property immediately to the south of this about 3 months ago, where the applicant bought this large piece of property that that had limited road frontage along Powell Road and then went out and then up. And he ended up dividing the part that went north from the main part into another lot. And it had no street frontage as well. In fact, I think it uses the same access as that site.
I granted my friend the access. The one who's the lot 3 right there.
Is that lot 3 where all the timber is? I don't quite, I don't see.
I'm sorry. So lot 3 is going to be on the left. Yes, that's right there. It's hard to see. I
Yes.
apologize. That's lot 3.
Yes.
I was given access by Randall Pratt when I purchased the property, came with the property, the drive. And then I granted my friend access to get to his property, which is right there. That's who just requested a variance not too long ago. And it just got approved.
And that was approved.
Yes, sir.
So that would be the area that's east of your, where all that is cleared out? Is that what you're saying?
No,
just-
south.
just
We're
south.
down.
On the other side of
South of his.
the, okay,
See how that's platted in two different, going north and south.
okay. But is that like a road there, or is it just another driveway?
It's an old farm road that was access to get to the other 240 acres. It's very confusing. I learned more about the property from Randall, as he tells me something new about it every day. But to access that, yes, that is a drive that would allow Brian to get to his lot 3, but it would be serviceable and maintained. Obviously, that's what we have. So
The property owner the property was previously owned by a construction company, and I believe they took dirt out of that area that you see where his
Looks
lot
like
is,
they
where the dot
extended,
is.
or whatever you call it.
yes,
They
that's exactly-
excavated dirt from there. That's why it's shaped like it is, why the clearing is shaped like it is. That's my understanding.
He took it to the fly ash pond at IPL right down the road. Is what I was told.
So you say because of the lot 3 that's to the south, is that what you're saying? That you've had this done before?
My friend is getting ready to purchase and just went through the variance process with you guys, maybe online, and he just had that approved, that lot 3.
Which is right directly south
Yes, sir, that's
on
correct.
the east portion of
The
west-
southwest, it's southwest.
southwest.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Cox, you've actually, I'm just asking, have you actually given the city drawings that shows like a preliminary plat on what you're trying to do in there with 3 lots rather than, is it just one tract right now?
Yeah,
you
it's
bought,
it's
but you're
currently
trying to
one track. Yes, it's
But
currently
you're
one
trying to divide it into 3,
Into two.
just 2,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
But I thought you said there was another lot to the south.
I know it got convoluted, but I was just explaining to you that
Okay.
my friend purchased the property just south of me, and I
Oh,
gave him
okay.
access through my
That's
property.
not, okay. I got
Yes.
it. That's a
Now,
different.
that was
Different
just
case.
Ownership.
allowance of easement, is that correct?
Yes, allowance of easement. yeah.
Normally, I would say you could divide it east to west and still come in off the easement, but I don't know how you would access the northern part off of that easily. That's Because I understand what you're saying about coming off the road.
Yeah,
Because that's the only access.
Yeah.
it's like a 45-degree angle, like,
And it's rough.
I thought
you
about
said
it
it's-
all angles that I could, and I felt like this is the best option for us.
I don't know what to say because to me, I don't know if we have enough information to make a decision right now without more information. What does the city seem to think on that? We've got enough information, we can do it? just
I'm not understanding what information you need that we haven't provided you. I mean, that's his preliminary plat that I provided you, and, I mean, we'll have to, minor subdivision, we'll have to do some revision work, obviously, like we always do with any applicant, as we go through the minor subdivision process, but, I mean, the question at hand is whether there's justification for not having frontage based upon the evidence that the applicant has provided you. I don't know what else to tell you.
Mr. Cox, when you originally bought the property, were you just gonna put the one home on it? Is that what you're saying? And then later on, you had a friend that decided they wanted to build there too, or something?
Yeah, so, well.
I mean, when you originally bought the property, you were just not
I,
looking
yeah,
at splitting it?
I purchased yeah, correct. So I purchased the property, and we put the barn on there.
Okay,
And so that's when, we have, 52 acres, and so the plan was to, I try to think outside the box. I'm in real estate, so I'm trying to be creative. And my friend, they are interested in the land, so that's part of it. So that's the biggest reason, we're just good friends, and
so I guess where you have the access, it would be not only to Lot 2, but Lot 1, you have a legal description for both of those, the easements, have they been? You don't have that
they're
yet?
recorded with the county.
They are, both of them are?
Yes. Yeah, so the access easement or
For
the-
both
mine,
lot
when I
two
purchased the
and-
property, it was part of the language
Okay.
in the, the legal description. And so I gave access, easement access to Brian Schultz, which is, he's getting ready to purchase Lot 3, which is, I know that's not part of my property, but it's the one south.
The Lot 3 is the one adjoining to the south?
Correct.
So they're all three are gonna use that one access, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All three are using yourself and your friend to the south, and then the west you're trying to sell to another friend?
Yes, sir.
It's all been, those easements have all been, access easements have been recorded in the recorder's office already?
Yes.
Well, let me ask staff a quick question. How much frontage to plat it would they have to where they wouldn't even need variance?
Well, being an RA district, it'd be 240 feet.
No. I'm not talking about what would be the minimal amount of frontage. We've seen people have frontage and it goes back and it flags out. Is there a way they could do that? How they run their driveway
You'd have
is
to
not
do,
a big deal, but if, 100 foot of frontage, 50 feet
you
of
have to have
frontage?
240 feet of frontage. It's
You
an
have to
RA,
divide it
it's
exactly in
RA
half.
district. Otherwise, you'd have to have a variance for anything less than
Okay.
240.
Okay,
So you don't have the frontage?
okay, I'm just checking on that. All right.
Now, we have seen some cases, especially in commercial properties, where the lot may have frontage onto a street, but they are not accessed by the street. For example, out at Eastland Center, you've got the restaurant road there that's along 40 Highway, such as Panera's and
Right.
Right.
whatever. They are addressed off 40 Highway, but they're addressed off 40 Highway, but they're not accessed by 40 Highway. You come in that Valley View Parkway, and then you go around the, in this case, the applicant could just divide the property east-west, north-south, and then have the access easement come in and then take the driveway just across the front of the property or in the back, and they could still have their frontage, but the property would be, again, north and
Right.
south instead of east and west.
Well,
So
that's,
access easement could go, extend, any direction, really.
so if they were to do that, they wouldn't even need a variance, correct?
You don't need a variance for a driveway, no, for an access easement.
Okay. That might be the easiest way to go.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and they just use that as the access to
Yeah,
get into.
because the shared driveway is not anything
Right.
new, that's for sure. We've seen that a lot around, especially out in the more rural part of Independence. And
So you'd have enough of north and south for the 200, what is it, 240, is that what you all said? But you don't have it the other way, north, where you run the property lines north and south.
So my only concern, because I guess I just need to understand the totality of the circumstances, but 240, how deep does that have to be, to do this shape that we're talking about? Because where I have my house planned, I walked it off, and it's 240 feet is 1 foot inside where my front porch will be. If I push my house back any further to my barn, I'm on top of my barn, and I can't do that legally. And so that's my biggest concern.
That's,
And so
You
if it
couldn't
has to be
really
a straight
do-
240, that's the issue. And another thing, the water line that was with the original property would be within that 240 feet. Therefore, my yard hydrants would be theoretically utility owned by, I believe, that side. If I ever sold it, I don't know if that makes sense. And so it's,
yeah, it's,
you should be able to access water off of that road and to either one, if you were to go with a
well, so-
north-south split.
Right, yeah, right, but my concern is if that 240 has to go across the bottom half, like you're talking about, the water line would be in that 240, that would be on the other side. But so if I sold it, if I'm getting ready to build, they won't allow me to, I think, they wouldn't allow me to use that water line on the other property for my property, obviously. Because it's a 1-inch line or a 3/4 line, just enough for one house.
Right.
If it was a larger one, I don't have a problem with that if we can.
Well, you don't want to share a water line.
Exactly. So that's,
With the
I'm
neighbor.
trying to think outside as much as I can to try to be
Because
creative, but it's.
you're getting metered and
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll enjoy
better be
that.
a real good friend.
Yeah, the applicant's gonna have to provide, each property's gonna have to have their own service line,
Right,
so.
because they're going to have to be metered separately.
Yeah, so if it's, if the property's on the east side and the west side, they're still not gonna be able to use one water line to get
Right.
back there.
Well, it's going to be the same way with power.
Yeah.
When they pull juice through there, it's going to, whether you go poles or bury it all, you're still going to have separate services.
I actually I have electricity up there.
Oh, you
because that's
do?
part of the
For the building?
process. Yes, that's part of the whole the process and getting ready to start construction on the house as soon as we work that out with the city.
Yeah. Our dilemma is trying to meet, I think there's two that have not been met on the criteria. Is that correct? It's just the two,
yes,
number 1 and number 5.
yes. That puts us.
And I'm not quite sure how to justify these yet. I don't know if anybody else has got a bell ringing in their head as to how to do it, but I'm not sure how to meet these criteria. And
So originally, you were just buying the whole 60, what'd you say, 52 acres? Is that
Yeah,
what?
I purchased the whole.
And then you were just gonna build one home on the whole thing, correct?
Yeah, so I wouldn't build more than one home on. or
No,
one
that's what
home.
I say, but then you decide you had a friend that was looking at it
Yeah,
and
so
wanted
they
to maybe build
wanted, yes,
themselves
exactly. So we
on the
decided
other,
we'd split it in half.
the west, we'll say east half, west half. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's the way it's gonna be
Sure,
exactly.
sure. Yeah, so the plan is for him to purchase the west side.
But you see where we're coming from there too, with the criteria by the city where you meet 4 of the 6 requirements. That's why
Well, you need so much frontage. We've already established that. You need 240 feet of frontage on each parcel.
Yes, sir.
You might be able to get creative in the plat, because your situation with your building and where you're wanting your house, and that figure out how to divide that acreage in a way where it's not just a straight 240-foot shot across the property.
I just don't know what is allowed on depth. So if it's 240 feet, is it 10 feet? Is it 50 feet? That would be my question. Does that make sense?
And then you can still grant an easement across.
Which is already
Try to
there.
do it to where you
The
can snake
the building line,
house
I think, is 50 feet, right?
and everything, and still do this without major complications. I'm trying to help you out to find a way to do this, so it'll work for
So
you.
you'd have to have at least the 240 for 50 feet back from the right of way.
Back from the road,
From the property line, you'd have to have 240 to 50 feet back, because that's the building line. And you have to have 240 feet of frontage to the building line,
240 feet this way, and then
50 feet
goes
back.
50 feet this way, and then you can vary it.
Then you can
from there,
vary it.
Correct? Well, you're a lot farther than 50 feet in, well, the building is.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's 500.
Can you, well, you've not broke ground yet on the house yet. See,
No, we're
you
getting
might be
close.
able to kind of fudge that a little bit. Now, that's quite a ways back. How deep is the property off of the road? How far back does it
I
go?
think it's on the, I think it's, you probably can't see it's probably just wide. I think it's 1,300 feet wide. Is that what we were asking, how east
Depth
to west?
from
Yeah.
the street,
I think it's 1,300. roughly.
1320 or?
Yeah, yes.
Probably,
Yes,
quarter miles, pretty typical.
yeah.
So you do 50 feet standing on your head. 50 feet's not very deep. I mean,
Right.
heck, my house sits almost that far off the street, and I live in a subdivision, so I know you've got a lot more to play with than that.
Do you need a bigger version? I can pull it up on my phone and zoom to where you can read everything. I could email it to you.
Is this this right here, is that the thing there we're showing? Running east-west there?
I'm thinking, that's,
I mean, this is where it comes, this is the road here. I don't even know where it's, I don't understand where it is, this is Powell Road, but where it comes in, there's an area between here and there.
comes
that's-
in actually south of his property line.
Mhm,
See,
right.
so there's an easement there
Mm-hmm.
before he even gets to his property.
Just to have an easement there on it, it's another ownership, isn't it? So this is where they're coming in. Powell Road is this part in here, and that's part of it there, what they're showing, is that correct?
I believe. I think that's the way I see it.
And then, of course, in the RA district, we have a 4-to-1 ratio. that if you have to have a variance if you exceed the 4-to-1 ratio with the depth. So,
If it's 240 feet, you have to have 1,000 and something depth, is that what you're saying?
If the property is, what did you say, how deep it was?
it looks like it's 1,320 feet.
Basically, it's a
Quarter mile.
quarter mile. You divide that by 4, you have a lot frontage of 330. But he has a lot of street frontage along here. So he could be, he'd need at least 330, but he, like I said, he has a lot of street frontage there, so he could easily come up with 400 or 500 feet, which would be an issue for the lot with the depth ratio.
Okay. Would that work for you?
I guess I'm trying to understand everything that just happened.
Okay. Well,
So basically, you're just saying that because the property is so long, I have enough street frontage or road frontage.
Yeah, you have to, your depth to width ratio has to be a 4-to-1, no more than 4-to-1.
300 some.
So, and given how much frontage you have a lot to work with on that north wooded part, right? I mean, to create, you,
So it would, it would look something like this. It'd just be, you'd flip the line, just rotate it around so you have lots that would be like that.
and then theoretically, 50 feet in, you could adjust that, like Tim was
So-
talking about, as long as it doesn't exceed the 4-to-1 ratio, we could finagle it.
So I wouldn't be able to have an east and west parcel.
No, it'd be north and south.
Well, that's what I'm sorry, north and south. I would be able to do what I'm planning, it's just to
You-
get
you
that
would- you would,
240
You
feet,
would still come in the same
or
way,
50 feet.
but you'd have
It's just a
the
big
property
puzzle piece.
line coming between the houses this way instead of,
Instead of running
This
north-south,
way.
they're gonna run
Basically,
east-west.
just a 50-foot strip is
Right.
basic, in essence.
I don't know why we need to do the 50-foot strip. I don't know what that, where it's coming from, but basically, they would just come in, the people that own the north would just come in the same driveway, and probably, would you put the aerial back up there? And then they would just turn and go north somewhere along there on their own driveway, in an access easement to go to their house.
as long as you don't bring that line down too far south or go too far north with that line that you wreck that ratio.
So
You've got all
Well, then-
that area to play with.
Then we have the question, where he's planning to put the home, will it fit within those parameters?
Well,
That's what I was talking about. You could finagle it as
Right,
long as
get a little
it,
creative with your
as long
lines
as
if you
it
need to
didn't-
there.
as long as it doesn't upset that 4-to-1 ratio.
So I
You
guess,
can move that line up and down to where.
But with as much
It would
frontage
work.
as he has, he shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a big issue. I
so
mean,
I guess my biggest concern is that because I placed the barn where it's at, it's positioned, it's built, it's done, and where we're gonna face the home to the south is, that's why I planned on having an east and west split. That's my concern, is that.
so you're wanting to
I
put the
just don't want-
house
I don't
south
want-
of where the
uh,
accessory building
southeast
is,
to where it's
correct?
close to the road, to where it's approved. What we don't want is someone behind us, behind our, because the way the barn is, it would theoretically, that north parcel, that would put a person behind us. We just wanted it to be kind of side by side.
Well, yeah, but how far away can they, I mean, they could build quite a ways away.
It's not, it's only 50, believe it or not, it's not as much up there on the pasture that you see as it looks. It's not as much. We have a ton of woods. And so currently the center line down the middle of the property is 50 feet. I believe it's 50 feet to the west of the edge of my barn. And so it's not much. It's like literally right down the center of the property. My barn is offset by approximately 50 feet based on what the surveyor put together.
Because see,
Yes,
the-
but if
the
you're going
narrowness-
east to west on your split, you're way to the south end of your property already for the most part. I mean, I don't, from this picture, it's difficult to say because I know it's not showing the whole property. It's got to go further up, and it's got like a weird,
It does.
Cut,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah. But I guess, can I draw real, can I write? Sure. This is my thought. I just want to see if it makes sense and if it's doable, but if we
You
continue.
need to do that up there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this the accessory building here? This little.
Yes.
right there? And he wants to build a house south of that?
I believe so. That's what he made, the way he made it sound.
Something like that.
Should still have plenty of room.
Do this. I guess this is your, see, I think we were thinking more along the lines of something like this, or, you know, if you wanted this guy to have his house over here,
That's the
you
intention.
could do that, you could do something like this
So, I mean,
as
it's,
well. So instead of having this dog leg,
But you can't dogleg even to the north to where.
I guess it depends upon, you know, what undeveloped part of the lot do you want to own?
That's what I'm saying. We purchased the property because we like the east side. And so that's where we kind of started planning everything for our build for the family. And if we had to go this route to avoid.
Well,
the
see,
variance-
the other thing you could do is something like this. You can always, you know,
But I guess my question is, we can't do a dog leg at all, like even if it fits the width and stuff like that.
I guess if this is 50 feet, you could do the dog leg, right?
you're talking about 50 feet of this part?
conventional.
No,
I don't quite understand.
Because
you
it
have
just
to have
makes it,
so much frontage, 240 feet of frontage. And then it has to come in at least 50 feet before you can start to go off at an angle or whatever you need to do to make it fit the way he's wanting it to fit.
It's complicated.
Because he's wanting to build a house, and he's got a spot figured out, but
so you want to keep as much as this east side is,
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you know, to split, obviously the surveyors are gonna have to work on it, on the amount, but 26 and 26 is our intentions.
but you don't want the other person to live north of your barn. You want
That-
them to live west of your barn.
That's correct, and I don't mind if we
Due
could.
west of your barn would be okay?
Yeah, west. There will be west or northwest or something like that.
So have you, this person you're selling it to, are they gonna build in the clearing like you are?
Yes, sir. They're not building in the woods.
What?
They're not gonna build in the woods. They are building in the clearing.
So have you guys sat down and say, this is where my house is gonna go, and this is where my house is gonna go, and then you drew it from that, or?
It's just like, we just split it down the center, 26 and 26. He would fall within the second little lump up there. There's a little flat area kind of northwest of my barn. Either there or just directly west.
I think there's some, stream buffer up there, isn't there? Yeah, there's some.
But it's pretty far north, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the woods. It's not in the clearing area. Well, potentially, as much as you don't like to continue cases, maybe this would be appropriate here for the applicant to meet with the surveyor and us and come up with some alternatives that maybe a variance wouldn't be needed. If not, then the board could consider this at the next meeting.
I agree. Is that something that would work with you, for you,
It's just,
to continue it to next month? I mean,
it just delays
did you
everything.
plan on groundbreaking, next week, or?
Not next week, but soon. I mean,
Right.
This has been a long, long process with
Okay.
family and stuff.
Because if,
I'm not trying to be pushy, I'm just trying to.
well,
it's
if
just
you would
such a-
like, you can request a variance. I mean, a variance, a continuance. Variance on the brain, apparently. If you would like to do that, because right at the moment, we're stuck on this. And I don't know that we can grant a variance based upon what we have right at the moment. Okay, as requested. Doesn't mean that you couldn't come up with something between now and next month that we could work with and that would work for everybody. And that's, of course, that's the ideal situation that would work for you, would work for your friends that are wanting to purchase the other tract and build a home there. I know there's got to be a way to do this. It's just a matter of, we're limited with what we have at the moment. And I don't know that it would pass tonight. So, and, we've had this happen before in situations where we've had people continue, come in with a little different twist on it, and everything just fell into place. So I would hate to turn you down, and then you have to start the process all over again. We're already this far in. Like I said, I think there's a way to do this. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have all details in my head to tell you, but
So, I guess it's, but see,
I would hate to see this deal go down in flames for you. I'm trying to throw you a lifeline here, is what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to hurt you or hurt your cause on this situation.
I don't know. I can't figure.
And if we can get past those other two criteria, then we can get this thing gone and done for you. But at the moment, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place.
I wanted to ask you, can you get with your surveyor, your engineer, and get with the city? I'm talking about with Brian and Stuart, and try to work out something between you so the left hand knows what the right hand's doing? Is that?
I'd do it tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. I'm trying to get it, just trying to get things started. I know that.
But Tim's
I gotta
right,
get ahold of
because
my surveyor,
we're going to have trouble okaying this, or at least I am, the way it is right now.
So
And-
can I ask, just so I understand, Mike, just for my clarification, what two criteria have not been met? The questions, I guess. I just want to make sure I understand.
Have you got your,
I filled it out, but I don't have it with me. I had everything on my PowerPoint. Didn't work
it's
out.
number 1 and number 5.
Number 1, number 5.
Okay.
As far as the criteria that we're talking about.
What is,
There's 6 of them, but it meets 4 of the 6.
Okay. Gotcha.
Should get up in front of my mic. Did you get yours? Well, here's yours, isn't it? That's yours. Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out why, I still don't see what the problem is.
This thing's complicated, let me tell you.
Something wrong
I've never
with
seen
the
anything like it. Because normally when you do any kind of supply, you got a front. This would come into the equation. This is very, very exception rather than the rule, I guess is what I'm
Where are you
saying.
calling frontage?
I agree.
But I think that it needs to be, because I'd really have trouble with it.
What we need is a proposed plat
That shows them what they
that
want to
shows
do.
exactly what we're wanting to do
And
here.
they'd have to actually
Why couldn't they
locate
put
this
another piece of
physically out in the field and know where it is.
Right. Well, this should be okay.
I guess, I don't,
It's
See, this-
1,328.
see,
From here to here is 1,328.
this distance from this to there, but I don't even see where is the quarter, this part of
Well,
it?
it goes up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what, I don't see the problem with a long, slim lot,
I don't
if that's
know. know what the configuration is, as if they've got a survey
The
of it
proposed.
now, they need to have a survey of what they got. I can't tell from this what the whole ownership is.
Right. Well,
I
here's
mean-
what they're proposing as far as.
But is that the whole?
But that's going north and south, you got no frontage. That's where we're
But I
running
mean,
into the
if
big
this
issue.
doesn't appear to be the way that, the 52 acres, this isn't, is the 52 acres do this at the north end?
I would
don't know.
suggest
I
that
don't
you
understand.
I'm not sure.
get with your surveyor and have him come up with some alternatives. Take the drawing or this aerial,
They've shown that property line.
show where you want your house, where they want to put their house,
But they're gonna.
where the utility lines will go, where the
Well, you get one
driveways
of
will
those
go.
assessor's maps
Place it
of
all
the
on
county,
there,
and
and
they
then
show the way it
try to
actually-
start
and
dividing
this
the
doesn't
property
show
up.
that. I mean, it shows part of
Because
it,
you're
but it
sort of
doesn't
dividing
show
the
it.
property up before you really know where things are gonna go.
It's the same distance as from here.
And then they can,
I presume-
the
but-
surveyor
but
can
does-
send something
but
over
does
to
the line
Brian, and
across
then,
here make it
we can
a-
look
we
at it
don't know.
and see.
Or is the line, is this the way the line goes, 52 acres? I have no idea, I haven't seen the survey. I mean, I don't understand how they can do this without a survey, and having a boundary survey to begin with.
They're just showing the whole 50 acres.
I guess, I haven't seen it.
Well, this is, if we can find an answer in the next week or so, let's say, and you don't need a variance, all we gotta do is drop the case.
And then your surveyor will have to redraw the plans and look it up, tweak it.
Yeah, that would be your best.
But you should ask for a continuance, so you have breathing room to do this.
Okay. So just ask for a continuance, is how, may I please have a continuance? May I please have a continuance?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Gentleman's requested a continuance to the next meeting, which will be August
19th.
19th.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I have
For a
to make a
continuance.
motion to continue the next meeting to August the 19th, is that correct?
Yes.
I second.
And
We've got a motion and a second. Run the vote on this one real quick. Well, where'd my thing go? Yeah. Well, there it is. Okay. Aaron Crosley,
Yes.
Jack Lehman,
Yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
yes,
and I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
Continuance has been granted.
Mr. Cox, I had one other question. Did you get a certificate of survey, boundary survey, when you bought the property? I haven't seen one. Have you got one?
No, there was, to my understanding, there was not one.
Well, then, to me, how can you do a division when you don't even know the configuration?
Well, that's why I paid my surveyor to draw it up. and
I
to
know,
s-
but
to-
did they do I'm talking about a boundary survey where they certify to the survey. Have you had that yet?
So that's part of the process with him, is he's
Well,
gonna do
no,
the boundary
that's
points.
part of the, when you buy the property, you get a survey. Did you get a survey when you bought it?
No.
Well, then you didn't get a boundary survey then, did you?
Okay, I don't know, I guess I'm
Well,
not
but
familiar
you can
with the
check with,
boundaries.
I'm not trying to be contrary
Sure.
here. You need to maybe check with your surveyor to find out, because you really need to know what the actual boundary with all the easements of record on a
I
plat. We
would
call
I
them,
was assuming that that's what I paid for a couple months, or 2 or 3 months ago, when he started the survey process. He drew out on the map where all the corner posts were and everything like that. That answers the question, because
Well,
I asked
that-
him specifically about that.
well, then if he's got corner posts, iron pins, or stones.
Yes,
or whatever.
absolutely. And that he told me that they're on the map, you just probably can't see it. It's
But
just
we
small.
haven't seen it. I mean, does the city, I'm just saying that you need to find out.
That's
where
what I
that-
submitted to Brian, and it's on that plot, if you can see.
You
the
all
corner.
got a certificate of survey, the city.
I mean, we have what's in your packet.
Okay, but you don't have like I call it a certificate of survey. We had a survey in business. Whenever you do a boundary survey, you certify to it the configuration, distances,
Sure.
legal description, the way it is on the where it is on your title report,
Yes,
so on and so
correct.
forth. But we haven't seen anything. I mean, I just was just wondering if you had your surveyor issue one to you when you purchased it, you and your wife purchased the
We
property.
we purchased it a year ago, and he came in just a few months ago, so not long ago.
So you didn't get a survey when you purchased it, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate-
Okay. Next is going to be election of officers. Need nominees for chair and vice chair.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion just to leave the way the chairman, the vice chairman, and what we have now, and keep those people as continuing. I don't know. Does anybody have?
Got a motion and a second. Anybody else?
Continuing.
With that high paying job.
All right.
You sure?
Well, I think we just keep it the way we got it. I mean, to me, it's good.
Anybody else? Yes, I need to flip those back this way, don't I? Okay.
I made a proposal to keep the officers as they are now, to continue.
Okay.
And then we can just do it by voice?
Or the chairman could read the,
Okay, or could read it like he normally does it, okay.
Yeah.
We need a second on
Mr. Lehman seconded.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron Crosley,
Yes.
Jack Lehman,
Yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
it. Yes.
and I vote yes as well.
So you're our chairman, Mr. Tim.
Okay, he's still vice chair, so
Okay, so I just didn't see your reason to change it.
we've got to approve the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? Any changes need to be made? Any? No? I have a motion to approve.
So approved.
So I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Approval of the minutes? Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Any in opposition? No? Okay. Oh, that's the 15th.
So,
All right, I guess this meeting's adjourned. We'll see everybody on the 19th.